everybody. It is nostalgia time once again, and I am back in my office, and my room is all festive for the holidays. I've had those lights on every single day of the year, but this Christmas TV I got last year, that's festive for the holidays. But that is not the point. Oh yeah, and that ornament too. It's off right now, but that's because it's on a timer. So in this episode, we are going to be taking a look at discs that are used to restore an Acer Aspire 5742 computer, which I believe was manufactured around the year 2010. So it's a little bit of an older machine. So we're going to be taking a look at the restore process and eventually its OEM version. There were several hurdles I had to get past along the way while getting this virtualization set up. First, there was a C++ package that needed to be installed in order for me to even install this program. And the other hurdle that I encountered later on was that there was a virtualization setting in the BIOS of this computer that was disabled by default. So I had to reboot into the BIOS and enable it, and now virtual machines work on this computer. Now, we're going to go into the settings here and insert the first disk. Here's the folder. This syscd, I believe, is the first disk. And then we're going to start it. And for authenticity, we're going to make the virtual machine full screen. And there is the Windows 7 boot animations. That indicates that the machine did come with Windows 7 pre-installed. And here is a very familiar Acer e-recovery management restore screen. We are going to be asked to put multiple disks in along the way. There are actually 4 in the set, and this is the first one. Of course, we're going to view everything in English. And now here are the 2 options. We want to either completely restore the operating system or only restore the operating system. There is no operating system, so we're going to completely restore the OS. So this does require plenty of power. Now, this is on a virtual environment. However, we are running this on a laptop. So whatever Acer is saying still applies. In fact, I tested another Acer Aspire recovery on VMware, and in fact it actually worked just fine. However, of course, the Windows copy is not genuine because the license key is locked to the hardware of that computer and it's a virtual machine. So of course it does not know if it's it doesn't know if it's an actual Acer model or not. So we're going to go ahead and click next. And then this is showing the hard disk drive. So of course this is to tell us that this is a VirtualBox disk drive. This is what the label is going to be. And then this is the size of the partition. This should hopefully be enough. And then this is the confirmation that it is going to erase everything forever. And we'll hit OK. And now the restore process begins. And it is ready for disk 1. Okay. And off we go. So it is restoring. The operating system, but actually I'm not sure if it's really restoring the operating system because this restore actually, I believe, goes through 2 separate stages. The first stage is that it restores the recovery partition on the hard drive. So, you know, if your system were to have any problems, you don't even need to use the disks again. You could just boot to the recovery partition on the hard drive from either the BIOS, if it has an option, or booting into the Windows recovery environment on Windows 7, and you can access the system recovery from there. I did something similar in a video I made about a few weeks ago on restoring my Dell Inspiron 3670 to factory settings after Discord Element and eventually later Edge stopped accepting internet connections. It stopped reading my internet driver after the machine, after I had to force reset the machine because of how slow it was. It first started with Discord and Element, and then after installing the 23H2 feature update and a cumulative update for Windows 11, it's been on 11 for about 5 months. As of now, it is back on Windows 10. As a result, I had to do a factory reset since reversing the cumulative update or system restore fixed the problem. So, we are just about done. So that's all the file copying that it needs to do. So that's what it just did. So it restored the recovery partition. So now this is stage 2. It is restoring the operating system. And then afterward, it will update it with all of the factory software and everything like that. Now, I actually did test. I'm not sure if this is the exact same one, but I did actually test recovery media of another Acer system from this time in VMware, and apparently it actually installed perfectly fine. I was able to get through the first portion of the setup. I was able to make it to the out-of-box experience and eventually the desktop. However, the Windows version there was unactivated, so it was an unactivated copy of Windows because the product key that's embedded into the installation is not on the hardware that the key was designed to run on. So essentially the product key is embedded into the hardware of the computer, but the operating system in which the product key, that hardware belongs to, is installed on different hardware than it is. So yeah, let me rephrase this. The product key that's embedded into the hardware of the computer is tied to the product key in the operating system. So if the operating system detects that there is different hardware on the computer, then the product will not activate until you provide a genuine product key from a Windows 7 install disk. Yeah, Windows 7 install disk or something like that. So we are already halfway done through the restore. My God, this recovery is going very, very fast. In fact, as I've again mentioned, this is running directly off the hard drive. So as I have mentioned already, this recovery is running entirely on the hard drive. This is not running on my portable external hard drive, my Western Digital 2 terabyte hard drive that I've had for several years. As of now, it's starting to rattle and it's on its way out. So for Christmas, I'm actually looking to upgrade a couple things. I'm looking to upgrade my external hard drive, which I also plan on doubling the storage to 4 terabytes because as of now, that thing has like less than 32 gigs of free space left. And I also intend on upgrading my desktop computer since that does not since that not only has the same problem, but also um, the programs that we do on Playfield TV, some of the programs, apparently they cannot handle the power sometimes of the 8th generation Core i5. So I'm looking to upgrade to not only a much newer computer, but also a much faster processor, and even beefing up the performance. What I'm looking for in this upgrade is I'm looking for the 13th gen, that's the latest generation, Intel i7 processor. I'm looking for 16 gigabytes of memory. I believe the amount of RAM in this computer is 12, just like my desktop and my laptop too. And I'm also looking for 512 gigs of storage, like my Dell Inspiron laptop, my 7500 laptop. That has 512 gigs of storage. And both this HP laptop here and my desktop both have 256 gigs of storage. So essentially the two combined is 512. So essentially I have about a terabyte. All right, once the okay, it's ready for the system disk again. Let's see if this is the one. Nope, it is not. Okay, now it wants that was the language disk. So here's the language disk. Yeah, apparently the person did not provide a language disk, so apparently we cannot continue. But I think it's already done. Well, let's restart and see what happens. Let's see if we even boot into Windows. And it looks like yes, we do. So, but let's see if it installed all the way. Setup is updating registry settings. Good sign so far. So yeah, apparently the publisher of these discs, not Acer, but whoever posted these to the Internet Archive, apparently did not provide a language pack CD. I suppose this was for, I suppose it's a CD for a separate Windows 7 update that we could install later through Windows Update. So, and speaking of Windows Update, I actually came across a video about Windows 7 extended updates for another year, and we'll actually go through that process in a later episode, probably the next one actually. So let's wait for setup to finish and hopefully restart the system for one final time. All right, and that I believe is the end of the restore, because we will be in the we'll be at the out-of-box experience momentarily. And there it is. This is it, the Windows 7 Home Premium Acer Aspire 5742 OEM. So this is as if you bought it brand new. Just amazing. So this is, of course, all correct. This is English United States. And of course I usually like to put the name in of PC Playfield. And I'm just gonna call this Acer Nostalgia. I'm just gonna give it that name. We will not put a password in. And then this is the agreement for Windows 7 Home Premium Service Pack 1, and then the license agreement from Acer. I'm going to use the recommended settings. The time is not correct. It is actually, yes, now it is correct. So we're going to go ahead and, since this is using the network driver, we're going to tell it that we are on a home network. Now, if we were actually using that specific machine itself, then it would give an option to connect to a wireless network. However, the system drivers are installed. However, these are not the correct drivers. And there it is. We are about to log in for the first time. However, as you can see right there, just below, that is actually a estimated time remaining clock, because after we log in for the first time, it's going to essentially finish the setup. It's going to finish the setup. So essentially it'll just clean up any temporary files, install any remaining programs, and then it'll do one final reboot, and then that will be the end of it. So this is product registration. This is not an Acer product, so I don't care about it. So just like that Dell Vostro that we restored several episodes ago, it did the exact same thing. It showed one final screen just before the desktop. So but yeah, essentially that's an old and outdated product. Acer recommends McAfee. Why not? We'll go ahead and we'll activate it. And those are the only two things it wants. It just needs the information about the registration and McAfee, and that is it. There is the desktop. However, we are not done just yet, because there is still more software to be installed. However, we can actually technically look at the install right now, but however, of course, we don't get the Explorer shell for a while. Well, not for long actually, because the Acer software install tool is gonna automatically force itself to the front. So essentially all it did was it just installed the actual operating system. So all that it's doing now is it's going to install the drivers and other software. However, these are not going to be the exact drivers of the operating system. So as soon as all of this is done, we will see the desktop. I mean, we could start doing stuff like Alt-Tab. However, we don't see this stuff for long, though, and I can start to see McAfee already. So we can kind of start using Windows, however, not necessarily. Because all it's got to do now is install the software. And it's interesting how the battery meter syncs with the battery on the host. So both Windows 11 and 7 would both be giving off battery errors, well, if the battery level gets to a certain point. So while we may be done with the out-of-box experience, we're not actually done with the restore just yet, because there are some final parts that need to be done, and that is to install any remaining factory OEM software, whether that be drivers or whether that's drivers or any other factory factory application like Acer recovery or that Acer E technologies thing and stuff like that. So that's what it's doing here. So it's installing the drivers that were shipped with this computer. And then once this is all done, it will restart for one more time. However, it actually may restart. It may actually restart more than once during the stage. But once it is all done, we will be at the desktop. We'll take a look and see what this computer looked like. And that is it. So here it is. The Acer Aspire 5742 OEM install from from the late 2000s, early 2010s. You can see some icons have already moved around. As you can see, you got this nice Acer background And that's what the start menu looks like. And show you the properties here. Windows 7 Home Premium, Service Pack 1. There is the Acer logo. I see it's already rated Windows 1.0. So let's take a look at this OEM and see what it would have came with. So it came with Adobe Reader 9, and it has the Windows Live stuff, Windows Live Movie Maker, Photo Gallery, and Mail. And then, of course, there is Media Center, but it won't work properly because there are no proper display drivers on the system. It probably could also be because of Acer's stuff. And then Acer's e-recovery right here. Their Acer Updater, which I suppose this is driver updates. So this is their driver updater tool. Let's see if there are any updates that need to be done. And that's the identity card, which that's interesting that they include that. And then here's their custom version of the Windows 7 Welcome Center, which goes through some of the programs installed on your system. And then an Acer Backup Manager. This is, I suppose, where you can back up and schedule backups of your files. So that's actually nice what Acer includes, because I don't think Dell does that. And then these are some of the Acer games that are included. This is their online store, and then these are some of the games that they include pre-installed. Of course, we could go into the Acer Game Zone console by Oberon Media. And these are some of the games that they have available. And of course, we can sort everything by categories. Well, some things may be downloaded. Some of the things have already been downloaded already, so it says play. However, there are some stuff that you have to download separately in order to... Oh my gosh. Fishdom was actually around this early. It was not the version of Fishdom that I remember. Yeah, the servers are long gone, so that's not going to work. But I mean, we can take a look at a few of the games. It's even got Bejeweled 2 on here. And yeah, all of these games here are demos. So you'll get like 30-minute demos unless you buy the full version. But HP actually lets us run the full version of the game twice, and then we'd have to pay for it. And then it also comes with Cyberlink DVD version 9. That's their registration card. So, fail object error. And then there is WinLocker, which configure yo safe. So this, I suppose, is like a file locker. Essentially, it's a file locker. So you could essentially store all your confidential information in the safe, which would be protected by a password. And then, of course, there's many of the Acer games as described earlier. And then, of course, there's all of the usual Windows 7 stuff, including my favorite, Purple Place. Yeah, hardware acceleration isn't supported, so the game may not run properly. Like the game will actually start, however, the game just won't run as efficient. Yeah, you can tell how choppy the audio is. Especially since we're running this on VirtualBox. Yeah, I don't want to play too much Purple Place, so we're going to exit. that. And then, of course, there's the Intel Rapid Storage. This is all of Windows 7's usual stuff. It comes with McAfee. Yeah, because the servers are long offline. And of course, even comes with a link where you can learn more about McAfee's Family Protection Plan. It also comes with Silverlight News Espresso. I suppose this was like, I suppose it's like an online newspaper, like a digital newspaper. In fact, Microsoft actually does that now with Microsoft News that they've pre-installed on Windows 10. I don't think they do that on Windows 11 because they actually have that embedded into widgets which are actually accessible, and this is the same story for Windows 10. It does the exact same thing. And then Norton Online Backup, I suppose, is the exact same thing as that other one. You can back up your files. And then I suppose this is an installer for Skype. So it actually does not include Skype pre-installed. However, they do include the installer, so you'd have to install that separately. I see Acer Game Zone, of course, has its own thing in the search bar. And this is, of course, the startup stuff. And then here's some of the other Windows Live programs, Windows Mesh and Windows Writer. I don't think I'll be able to run Movie. Yeah, I cannot run Movie Maker because there's no proper display driver. And, of course, the registration card that we saw earlier. But it's a different window. So I'll just exit. And as we saw, of course, it has a bunch of toolbars, including Acer's own version of Bing. As you can see, congratulations, Bing bar is ready for use. So you can see like what movies are showing near you. You can see videos. And of course, this redirects you to Bing videos, I suppose. Yeah, these redirect you to Bing videos. And then these are finance. Yeah, the servers are long offline, so obviously that's not going to work. And then, yeah, something is wrong with this service. It doesn't work. And then, of course, you can get the weather conditions for your area. And there's that news thing. You can take a look at the news. Well, now let's see if they include any special. It looks like they include a few special backgrounds. These scenes, I believe, these are Windows 7. These are all the nature. Yeah, these are all the Windows 7 themes. And then Acer includes their own. So just move this over so you can see the wallpaper. So yeah, that's what the computer would have looked like. And then here's another one that includes the same model in all these colors. And just for simplicity's sake, we're going to leave it at this. And I see Acer has bundled their own screensaver. Essentially, the screensaver is just a slideshow of some of the images we just took a look at. So that's a look at the OEM install of the Acer Aspire 5742. Laptop computer manufactured in the late 2000s, early 2010s. In fact, I'd say it was around 2011 this thing was manufactured, because at the time Microsoft released Service Pack 1 for Windows 7, which was bundled with this machine. In the next episode, now that we're on the topic of Acer, we're actually going to try the latest version of Windows, in this case Windows 11, and we're going to see how a 2004 Acer computer, which is that same OEM that we did a while back. So we're going to take a look at that computer itself, and we're going to see how it does against Microsoft's latest creation, Windows 11. So, with that, until next time, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.